Hey, what's up? It's me, JDS4696, JBat, and today I'm going to be giving my review for Batman KnightFall Volume 3, and this is known as Knightsend. Now, this is the third and final volume of the KnightFall saga, because collectively it's known as the Night Saga, and it had consisted of like three different volumes, because you had the first Knightfall, which is Volume 1. Then you had a Volume 2, which is known as Knight's Quest, and then this right here is the last and final one, which is known as Knightsend, and this is the third and final volume. So in this one, you actually have like the final and complete return of Bruce Wayne to the role of Batman, but he still doesn't really have that much like Batman time in this particular collection of issues, you know, that completed the Knightfall story arc. But he is in here, you know. It's mostly like Dick Grayson as Batman at one point, you know. Yeah, he actually like leaves like his Nightwing persona on, because you know he became Nightwing and takes over the mantle of Batman while Bruce Wayne retreats again, you know. But he still has like Tim there for help, you know, as Robin, like the current Robin, you know. And they have to continue to like finish like the finish off like some of the inmates they were freed from Arkham by Bane, you know, and stuff like that. Because I know Two-Face turns out to be like the major one they had like a lot of trouble with at one point, because like his story lasts like a whole bunch of issues, you know, with them trying to actually take him out, you know. But yeah, I thought this particular volume Knightsend, I thought this was actually much better than the last volume, Volume 2, which is known as Knight's Quest, I believe. I thought it was much better than that one, because this has like a lot of like Jean Paul. He still is like kind of like Batman at one point in here, you know, but then he has like confrontations with Bruce Wayne, you know, who wants his mountain bike, you know, so he actually has to fight Bruce Wayne, you know, and Bruce Wayne eventually does reclaim his mantle, you know, and like of course Jean Paul, he is kind of against it, you know. He wanted to stay in the role of being Batman too as well, you know, but of course Bruce Wayne has to return to be Gotham City's savior, you know. He was one who created like the Batman. So then it's also even like conflicts in the story with Jean. Actually he believes that he is like the one true Batman, when it was originally Bruce Wayne who was, you know, at first. Bruce Wayne actually created the persona, you know, the hero of Batman himself, you know. So it's always his making, like his creation in the beginning, you know, because somewhere in the storyline, Bruce does mention that the Batman was his creation, you know. So he wants to take it back, and then he has conflicts with Jean, you know, because Jean is so aggressive. He already like had two people killed because of his actions, you know. But like some of the guys that were killed by him or whatever, they kind of did deserve it, you know. But he still is not like no killer or anything like that. He's just aggressive, and he was getting a whiff of that in the last volume, which was a Knightfall Volume 2. Knight's Quest, she was actually getting a whiff of it in that particular volume. But yeah, this starts like this volume, which I thought was good, and it started off excellent. It started with like Bruce Wayne. He has to train, you know, like himself to get himself back in physical peak condition to be Batman again. So he actually has to train with Lady Shiva, who is supposedly one of like the greatest fighters in the world, as far as like in the Batman mythos, you know. So he actually spends weeks with her, and she's like training him to be like a good fighter, you know, like that. But she wants him to kill and stuff like that too, to take out his enemies, you know. But Bruce is still against that, you know, because Batman doesn't kill. So they have like conflicts and everything and stuff like dealing with that. But the moments with them training and Bruce like getting himself back in peak condition are very fun and very interesting, you know. Because there's moments where he's almost about to return to the role of Batman, but he pushes away, like, you know, he's not ready, you know. Because he would be on like rooftops, like skyscrapers and like buildings, you know, like in Gotham. And he's about ready to jump off the building, you know, and like use his grapple, or, you know, like his bat rope and swing, you know, whatever, anything like that. But he still like he pushes him away, like pushes us, like he's like, no, I'm not ready yet. Because what's cool about it, I like how they call it the abyss. Like he said, he keeps saying like in his thoughts, like, you know, he's not ready to return to the abyss, like he's not yet to return to being Batman, you know, basically. And I thought that was very interesting and fun and cool, you know. But yeah, he spends weeks training with her, and she also sets up like enemies for him to take out, you know, almost in the same pattern that like Bane had broke everybody out of Arkham Asylum. And like, you know, so like all the supervillains, you know, when he released all the supervillains from Arkham Asylum, that's what actually weakened Batman. That's how come Bane was actually able to break his back. Whereas in this particular collection, you know, that ends the Knightfall story arc, during his training, Lady Shiva, she has him take on like certain like enemies that are very powerful, you know, and he has to take them out one by one, you know, but not like right at the same time they just like come, you know, randomly or whatever, you know. These are like master fighters, and they kind of give Bruce a glimpse of what he went through with Bane, but he does succeed in the end, you know. So he then does return to Gotham to reclaim his mantle as Batman, and that's when he have the confrontation with Jean Paul, who is still currently Batman at that point, you know. But yeah, like, and then once he does return to reclaim his mantle, he does have to have a confrontation with Jean Paul, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of sad because I like how they build up Jean Paul's like character as Batman. I thought it was kind of cool. But you know, you could tell that it never would have like actually like made it, you know, because he was always upgrading. That I'm saying, and he was having confidence about him being involved in like some of the criminals, like murders and stuff like that, you know, and everything. And so you could tell all along it was gonna always be that. Then he finds out the source of like the voices that he hears, like the spirits, you know, like the Saint Dumas and like Azrael, like the voices and stuff that he hears and stuff. He finds like the source of those too, you know, and he still hears those, you know. And they're even saying that he's not worthy of like the mantle of the Batman and stuff like that. So I always thought that was kind of like sad too, you know, that he had to resort to that, and then eventually at one point he does have to just give it back to Bruce, you know. So I thought it was kind of sad to a certain extent, but it was cool though, you know. I enjoyed it, you know. So from then on, after like Bruce takes him out and reclaims the mantle of Batman, he actually retreats again and says he's still kind of not Jesus, still like just still one more thing he needs to do, you know. So he actually leaves again. He gives Dick Grayson the Batman persona. So then from then on out, like I guess you could say about halfway through the volume of Knightsend, like halfway through this, you have Dick Grayson in the role of Batman, along for Tim Drake as Robin, and they're continuing to fight crime and clean up the remaining villains that are free, you know, from Arkham and stuff like that. You know, they have to fight the remaining villains and anything like that. Basically, clean up the crime in Gotham City until Bruce returns completely, you know, to the role of Batman. Now I thought those were like pretty good, you know, and stuff. The artwork was good in here, you know. Some of the stories had good writing, but not all of them. Because to me, like a couple of like the Robin issues, they had like excellent like artwork. Like the artwork was just like beautiful, you know. But like when they actually did like the writing of it, like some of the story moments, I didn't really think were too great, you know. Now there's also other points like major villains in here are like Killer Croc, you know, the ventriloquist Scarface, Two-Face, and this guy known as the Rat Catcher. I think I was kind of familiar with him. So like Dick Grayson as Batman and Tim Drake as Robin, they have to actually recapture all of them, you know. And then like I told you before, like Two-Face plays like a major part, you know, like in the last couple of issues, like he has like a major part where it's like he's like the major villain of like the end of the KnightFall story arc, basically. But I thought this was kind of cool. You get to see like a good look at Tim, you know. Alfred shows up here and there, you know. Bruce shows up, Commissioner Gordon, you know. There's not really like, they're not, you know what I'm saying, Montoya, Bullock, you know, all like the normal characters, they're there and stuff like that, you know. But I thought this was pretty good. My only gripe with it is you didn't really get to see Bruce like recover, you know. He's just suddenly like back, just like they did with like the last one, Volume 2 of Knight's Quest. He just suddenly just returned, you know. You didn't really see him like rebuilding his back. But I know like the medicine that the doctor gave him, I think it just healed him. So I guess they didn't want to bother that. But from my opinion, they didn't really touch on that enough, you know, like him like healing himself and stuff like that. Like they didn't really show enough of that. He just suddenly Bruce Wayne is back, you know, and he's back as Batman, you know. So I really didn't think they didn't touch on that enough, you know. But yeah, I thought this was much better than the previous volume, you know. I thought this was much better. It still wasn't quite as good as the first KnightFall Volume 1, you know, but it was still good. But like, you don't really have that much Bruce Wayne as Batman, but he's in it, you know. You have mostly like Dick Grayson as Batman and then Tim Drake as Robin. They have like a lot of moments together, you know. And Gene, you know, he kind of shows up again later in the story, and now he's become almost like a homeless, like bum type person, you know. And I thought that was kind of interesting, you know, but he still keeps his faith, like in the Lord and stuff like that. There's also moments that like the film is even borrowed from, like, say, like Bruce falling into like the Batcave, and he finds the Batcave as a kid. They had that in like Batman Forever, and then they had it in Batman Begins as well too, you know, like a young Bruce falls into like the Batcave. So I thought it was like a little cool little touch that the movies had took, you know. Catwoman shows up in here as well. I think it was some Joker stuff in here too as well, if I can recall, you know. But yeah, this was pretty. I thought this was much better than Volume 2, you know, this particular volume. So yeah, this is my review for Batman KnightFall Volume 3, and this completes the KnightFall saga. And this one is known as Knightsend, but collectively it is known as the whole like KnightFall. All 3 volumes are known as the Night Saga. Okay, this is JDS 4696 JBat. Alright. Okay, this is my Batman KnightFall Volume 3 collection right here, as you can see, like the book, and just like the previous two, like these two right here, as you can see, Knightfall Volume 1 and Volume 2 is very thick, you know. It has like a very thick girth on it, very thick, you know, collection of comics, basically, or I guess you could say graphic novel. And it has like an image of like Batman on the back, you know, as well. And on the front you have like Batman fighting Jean Paul, who was the current Batman at that point, as you can see. Now this collects the issues of Batman KnightFall 3. It collects Batman issues 509 through 510, 512 through 514, Shadow of the Bat 29 through 30, 32 through 34, Detective Comics 676 to 677, 679 to 681. Then you have Legends of the Dark Knight 62 to 63. Then you have Robin 8 through 9. Then you have 11 through 13, and then you have a Catwoman, 2 issues of Catwoman 12 to 13. So yeah, this is it, real. You know, I thought this was cool. I still think KnightFall, the first volume, I still thought this one had the cooler cover though. The one we had Bane like breaking his back. I still think that has like the coolest like cover of the 3, you know. And of course, you know, this is my Volume 2. So I have all of them, and here's Volume 3 as well. Yeah, because collectively these are known as the Knights Saga, if I'm not mistaken. And these are a fun collection, if you want to know what I'm saying. And it's so huge and it lasts so long, you know. So whenever you want to read like a particular like say, I guess you could say a Batman story arc, you know, that is like this very massive, you know. I guess you could say these would be like a fun read, you know, having like all 3 of these to read, you know. So yeah, this is like the KnightFall Saga, or it's known as Knight Saga if you want to put it together completed, which consists of Volume 1, then you have Volume 2, then you have Volume 3. Oh yeah, I like how they had these on the side too, like you had Bane on the first one, then on the second one you had Jean Paul, then on the third one you had like, I guess you could say, now actually that could have been Dick Grayson. And actually even right here this could have been Dick Grayson too as Batman, because he was Batman mostly in this particular collection of stories. So this really could have been the Dick Grayson Batman. I'm not really sure. It's kind of open, you know. So yeah, this is my Volume 3 KnightFall, and this is known as Knightsend, and this concludes the KnightFall story arc. And this is J-Bat JDS 4696. All right.